Coming up today on JBYC.
The conspiracy bowling ball is Radical's answer to the USBC no balance hole rule change.
I blame the internet.
This is a really hard topic. Weird's really relative, isn't it? I guess I'll talk about manga and Isekai, but we probably didn't go to that, so whatever.
All that and more on today's episode of JBYC.
Jilted by your cat.
Pork and beans, I can smell you.
Ask mom or dad first.
Hey everyone, it is Monday, April 29th, 2019. I'm Bobby Frankenberger, and you're listening to episode 6 of JBYC. This is a show where three people who've been friends for longer than any of us care to remember get together and talk about what's been on our minds the past week. Every week we have a topic or a theme or an inspiration for what we're going to discuss and chit-chat about on the episode. And this week's theme is Weird Interests. It was chosen by you guys who listen and watch live. Let me introduce my fellow co-hosts before I get too much further. First up is Ryan. How's it going, Ryan?
Good. I'm not trying to be mean, but this topic's hard. You guys are jerks.
It's okay to call our listeners and viewers jerks.
I know.
I feel like that's part of what they come for.
Happened.
Is the abuse. Next up is the one, the only, the Edge. EJ, American Johnson.
Edge.
How's it going,
Welcome
Edge?
To the Edge. I'm just standing here on the edge.
Living
good.
on the edge.
I'm doing good. I'm a little flustered. Been a heck of a ride getting everything set up.
Don't be flustered.
I'm trying not to be, Bob, but you know how it is. You know how it can be. You know how things can be.
Yeah, and
when you're close to the edge.
Yeah.
You're trying not to lose your head.
Yep,
it's like a jungle sometimes.
I know how it can be, exactly. Today's episode is brought to you by big announcements that are going to be made on the Shadowcasters Network tomorrow night. Shadowcasters Network is my other side gig that I have, and tomorrow night for anybody,
we're allowed to pitch our stuff.
Yeah, all you got to do is get onto the show notes ahead of time and put your ad.
That sounds like a lot of work and responsibility.
So since I was in there ahead of time, I put something. For anybody who's a fan of the Shadowcasters Network, and the stuff that I do over there, tomorrow night at midnight we have a really, really big announcement. So what can I say about it? Not a lot, because of NDA reasons. But if you happen to be a fan of the things, certain cyberpunk games and genres, we have a really interesting opportunity, thanks to some of the relationships we've cultivated over at the Shadowcasters Network, to talk about something really, really cool. So be there tomorrow night at midnight if you want to do that. Obviously, podcast listeners are probably not going to hear this in time, but it'll be up on YouTube.
You can watch the archives.
The VODs, as all the cool
it's
people.
called VODs now.
Yeah, the VODs.
Gosh.
Don't you know VODs?
You're a YouTubes man.
I think 35 is the age whenever words start to just annoy you. I don't know.
You're only saying that because you're 35.
No, that's why I'm saying it. It's an observation I'm making about my personal life experience.
This is not
nice haircut,
thing.
Ryan. I'm being
Thank
sincere.
you.
I'm trying to settle this difference.
He's trying a new thing where he doesn't engage in conflict.
I don't want to fight with you.
You look nice.
Bobby just quit the show. Goodbye, Bob.
There was a thing I had to take care of real fast. That's what we're doing it. We do it live here on JBYC. That's a good opportunity to say anybody who's listening to the podcast, we record this show live every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. You should come and hang out. We do a pre-show and an after party that doesn't go up on the podcast feed. So and you also get to help decide what's going to go on the poll for the choosing the theme.
And for
That's
Festivus.
talking about feet. And did you guys ever see the egg thing where you have to scrape your foot with it? You remember that thing? There was
the pet egg?
Oh,
pet egg? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
PED,
oh yeah,
you know what? Those have been just a normal beauty product in at least the parts of Asia I've been to, forever. Like it's not a trend.
Well, there was one
just
on
had
the
them.
set of The Hills Have Thighs, if you remember that.
Oh God, please don't ever talk about that ever again.
What was The Hills Have Thighs?
It was a really bad, horrible movie that no one should ever watch. That I have been roped into like doing the technical, like I don't know what you'd call it. I guess like it's not the producing, and it's not directing, but just old men often
like
would,
best grip.
when I was younger, old men would hire me to make movies for them because they didn't know how to make movies, and they were always like creepy, weird old men making creepy, weird old movies.
It's
And
kinda
one of them
like-
was called The Hills Have Thighs.
This sounds like
It's like trying
this
to do
sounds
a
like
fraternity.
This sounds like the start of
like
a weird
fraternity
Playboy
show,
confession.
but like out of time. Like Animal House.
It was supposed to be, yeah, it was supposed to be like
the
a
wrong
cult,
time.
like what do you call those? Yeah, what do you call those things? Those like frat humor things. But
College,
it was just like,
whatever. Yeah.
it was made by this old guy who was really creepy and
He's a politician.
I'll just say problematic. I don't want to talk about it. That's not even that's bad. That's bad mojo or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's a bad vibe. Bad vibe.
Dear Playboy, I never thought this would happen to me.
It was not like that at all.
It was just really weird to shoot. The show,
It was
I would never
awful.
talk about the movie itself. The shooting was really interesting. But yeah, that's the last
Everything
time I
about
saw
it was awful.
editing.
I got locked. Listen, this is the only story I'm going to share about this. Like, because we were doing all. Me and my business partner were doing all the technical stuff. So we were like doing the shooting and the lighting. We were like responsible for that.
I mean, I was doing
then we were
like the sound. Yeah.
Yeah. We hired like all our friends to do everything. So then we were like, we had to edit it, and so the guy wanted it edited really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So he locked me and my business partner in a cabin. Literally, I'm not kidding. He literally drove us to a mountain cabin and left us there without any vehicles, and just left us there for like 4 days.
I mean, it was a nice
with
cabin.
nothing but a plate of burger patties, like hamburger patties, and whiskey. That's all. And we basically like Lord of the Flies. By the end of it, I was like drunk in a bathtub on, no, it wasn't even whiskey. It was like moonshine from the mountains, and I was like drunk in the
It was
bathtub, and
moonshine,
like,
yeah.
and my business partner, we didn't edit anything, but we like worked through all these like personal differences.
It was like what you didn't know is you were the real movie. He was filming a coming of age story.
I do wish we filmed that. Actually, I do.
Real talk
Well,
though, it was fun and horrifying to shoot.
It wasn't fun for me at all. It was nothing
Well,
but stress for me.
I had
because
fun,
I
even
was
though I
like
had bed bugs bite my
constant.
legs.
That was a bad experience. That was a really bad experience. So
Yeah, it was actually a test. You passed. You were supposed to finish editing before the horrible Jabberwocky monster came to the cabin and ate you.
I wish that you don't know how horrible it is. Like, and they were good burgers, but like I didn't want to have another burger again for like months after. Like, who does that? Who takes
Well, and
two
that's
young
on top
guys
of
and
just doing
locks them
shoot.
in a mountain cabin with whiskey and burgers?
And
I
that's
know
on
it
top of
sounds good on paper.
Nah. In the shoot itself, like we shot in like condemned buildings full of cats that had just been removed, and like fisheries and like this terribleness. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Hold on,
Speaking
I
of
have to
weird
mark the
interests.
audio here so I can remember to pull all this out. The best story.
You don't
we've
want to
done.
keep my burger liquor story in?
That's
Oh,
no.
and
What
when
I'm
we
saying
left-
is pull it out so that the whole world can hear this.
When we left, there was so
I
much
get it.
food left over from like quote unquote catering that we were able to take like whole hams and stuff and like
Oh man, the food on that set was.
I
Just,
missed this one. I really.
this guy
You
was
did
like
not
a
miss anything. You're
meataholic.
okay.
Every
Yeah.
time we had like craft services or lunch or something, it was just nothing but nothing but meat. There was no.
Well, there was like also
Nothing else.
like cheese wedges and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a
And then
Nordic
moonshine.
like Viking diet. I don't.
Moonshine
know.
was good, though.
It was awful. It was awful. The moonshine was really good.
Well, I think
Bobby, you're the host. You're supposed to pull us out of this a long time
Yeah,
ago.
I'm enjoying this. I'll keep
We're
on
just
talking
gonna keep
about it.
talking about
it keeps
liquor
going
and
in really
burgers
interesting
until you-
places, but maybe we should quit while we're ahead. Let's Let's do this. Whoa, nope, that's too quiet. How about this? No, god damn it. What the
You know, kind of a share.
That's right. We, as you know, we're doing weird interests on the show today, and the first one we're going to talk about is bowling, right? Edge, that's what you wanted to. You had something about bowling.
Bowling
we actually
balls,
carried this.
Bob,
We carried this
bowling
over
balls.
from last episode. We made an executive decision.
You see, the USBC, the United States Bowling
Commission?
Conference. I don't know, but
I
they
don't
had
have
a
it in front
rule
of me
change. They had a rule change that changed the face of bowling as we know it when they altered the acceptable practice of balance holes. But thankfully, the Radical Bowling Ball Manufacturing Company has the answer in the form of the conspiracy bowling ball, which, well, let's just take a listen.
The pattern is easy. That's the pattern. Robot allows us to mimic any
Oh, go back to the beginning, Ryan, because this is
It
for the...
says start at 29. Ugh.
Phil Cardinelli here once again to announce new technology, the conspiracy. Radical's answer to the USBC no balance hole rule change.
Whoa.
Now, this is a big deal, the no balance hole rule change.
Total diff and intermediate diff, as
You can
well
skip
as
ahead to 29 now. I just wanted to hear that.
Numbers.
give you the strong
The
angle.
no balance hole rule change. Okay, play.
Robot allows us to mimic
Probot is a robot that Radical uses to test bowling balls, such as the conspiracy.
Okay.
Oh, the Throwbot. The Throwbot. So they have different personalities that they can program into the Throwbot, such as Jimmy Fallon or Wayne
noted for his quick reaction
Gripsky, who's known for his grip.
is Chuck Norris.
Chuck
When
no
it's
wrist.
Chuck No Wrist, who doesn't use any wrist at all. Okay.
Revs.
Oh, and then there's Keanu
Revs.
Revs. See, I don't even know.
Is that a bowling term?
I
felt like I was following the puns all
That's
the
part
way.
of the point. Okay, Ryan, you can stop it. You can stop it. We get the point. All right. Now listen. Here's what I want to talk about. Here's why I want to talk about this so much. Because, like, I discovered this because last week's show topic was conspiracy, and both of you chose kind of like meaty topics. So I wanted to find something that was a little lighter. So I was just Googling around conspiracy just to see what interesting popped up. And this conspiracy bowling ball is like pretty well known for being a solution to the USBC no balance hole rule change, right? And there are a lot of people talking about this on the internet.
But like,
And this is what I love about the internet because
wait, hold on though. Like, why is it a conspiracy? Oh, the ball itself is
the
called
ball is
conspiracy?
called the conspiracy. It's just a brand
Okay.
name. I don't think there's
Now-
like a conspiracy theory
Oh, I
behind
didn't
it,
get why you were talking about it.
which is why we booted it to this topic. So, but this is the amazing thing about the internet, and this is something I've been doing this for like as long as I've been on the internet. I've always been fascinated with these weird little like forums and interest groups of people who are doing things that I will never do. I just think it's fascinating to go in and observe communities and see what's like really important to this like weird little niche on the internet. So yeah, the bowling community has this whole like they've had this whole thing.
You
This
do
whole
this all from the
controversy-
toilet, right?
What?
Like, we used to live together, and you used to do this a lot. You were the first of us to have, like, you had your hip-top phone. You could actually
Yeah.
surf the web on your
Yeah.
phone, and you used to sit on
I
the
used to
toilet all the time.
I would love to go into, I just love to go into these communities and just I'm a lurker. And I'll go and I'll find like people who are really into building like doll houses. And I'll just be like, what's up with the dollhouse people? What's going on? You know, I love like, especially because what's great, what I love, it's like a drug for me. Like I get an endorphin rush every time, like it's a hit. Whenever I jump into a community that I have no knowledge of and no experience of and just jump in, and they're all like, there's always something that they're all worked up about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you jump into it in the middle of it.
You
it's just like trying to dissect that.
I feel like because definitely the genesis of this must have been all your Wikipediaing on the toilet, because when you start looking at the discussion threads on those Wikipedia pages,
Yes.
that stuff is nuts.
No.
That's like full
Go
of
to
the most esoteric rage arguments.
like I discovered this originally because I was looking up the highways, like state highways in the United States of America, like Highway 31 or Highway 47 or whatever. Yeah. So then I was like, I was reading it, and there was just so much information. Like it was like so detailed and like lovingly written, and I'm like, and I was just thinking like there must be people who like really get excited about talking about highways. And it wasn't about like it was minutia, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's still like this was like 10 years ago, but there was just like, it was like every numbered highway, and they were talking about like how the numbers were chosen and stuff, right? So I was like, there must be people who really love talking about this. And then I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll check the discussion, because every Wikipedia article has discussion where people like debate about what should and shouldn't go into the Wikipedia article. So when I checked the discussion, it was like striking gold. These people were having like flame wars about the truth and the veracity of like the highway numbering system and the sign history.
Like the numbers are a known thing, right? Like the three digits are interchanges and everything else.
Apparently there's a lot of false information flying around about highways, Brian, and it's a subject of major contention.
A decade ago, yeah.
Wow.
And so the bowling community is like they're grappling with this no balance hole rule change.
So I want us and our listeners to get a little hit of this hit of this juice that you're feeding and you're feeding off of here. I feel like I mixed 8 metaphors in 3 words.
In kind of a gross way.
Yeah.
But
hey,
so
American,
tell us,
give us some of your juice.
Yeah, give us some of that juice.
Get a hit of this juice. Sorry. Okay, continue.
I want to know. So, what is the no balance hole? What is the rule change? I mean, what is the no balance hole rule change? Why is this contentious? Give us the deep dive.
Well, it's not just the balance hole. That just seems to be from what I could tell, was a big deal. One of the big deals.
You got to start real early. What is a balance hole, for Christ's sake?
Well, wait, I got to start earlier than that, Bob, because what I got to tell you is that the U.S.
in 1537, the sport of bowling.
Guess what? It's the United States Bowling Congress. What?
Oh my gosh!
That's what the C stands for.
That's what the C and JBYC stands for. It's Congress.
Do they really like freak out about the movie Kingpin? That's all I'm thinking about right now. Like playing with the hook.
I never saw Kingpin.
You like it? What else?
I should watch it. I like anything with a bowler.
Yeah.
I have kind of a paraphilic interest in bowling, I guess. I almost wrote a screenplay about bowling. Okay, anyway, so the United States Bowling Congress had a constitutional convention, apparently, where they all put on their powdered wigs.
Oh my gosh.
They made some changes to the bowling ball specifications. Now think about what a big deal that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you change the specifications for bowling balls in your sport, that would be like if they changed baseball. That wasn't even an interesting metaphor.
You don't know anything about baseball anyway. Keep on going.
Okay, but like for instance, let's see. They've changed, for instance, the oil absorption rate of bowling ball cover stocks.
What the fuck?
Okay.
What?
So, it's a newly established.
What's a cover stock?
Regulation. I don't know.
Oh, I
know
you.
why
That's what I
you.
love about it.
So I think I'm starting to understand why you love doing this, because by the time you answer all these questions, you feel like a goddamn expert.
Right.
You must.
Exactly.
And you are the
exactly
only
right,
person
Bob.
you know who knows any of that shit by the time you're done.
All right. Like this is okay. Like we're gonna do this live. I'm gonna show you. So I just Googled bowling ball cover stock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I still don't know, because the first thing that comes up is a really complicated article that's like deep in the weeds of it. I just want to know what a bowling stock. It's so hard to find the information. Like, what is a cover stock? I'm gonna go to images and see
why
if it shows
does it
a picture.
absorb?
Oh, okay. The cover stock. Okay, I think I know. Oh, the cover stock is the most out. It's like the crust of the bowling ball. It's the outermost layer of the bowling ball.
So yeah, imagine a diagram of the Earth.
No, that's literally what I'm looking at right now. Hold on.
Okay.
You got to see this.
So it's the crust and not the mantle.
There. Hold on. You see this?
Yes.
Okay.
He's showing us
All right.
like cross.
Oh, it's a cross section of a bowling ball for our podcast listeners.
It's literally what you just described.
It's a cross section of a bowling ball, and the crust, the outer layer, the crust of the bowling ball, that's the cover stock.
Right.
And apparently those must be designed somehow to absorb oil.
What's that third one? That looks like a light bulb.
A light bulb?
Yeah.
Well, that's what a bowling ball's core looks like, Ryan. It looks like a light bulb. Did you know that? See, did you know that, Ryan?
No, that's why I asked.
I didn't know that either. And now we both know that.
Oh my God, I'm starting to understand why bowling balls do things like curve and spin and...
Yeah, I don't know. Is that because so then all these questions spring to mind. Is that where like the holes go, or is it there to balance the holes, like, or is it to add like a curve?
Oh, it's like
that's the kind of stuff we can discover through this process. You understand?
Huh.
You get what I'm saying? You get where I'm going?
Yes.
You buying what I'm selling? So
no.
Okay.
so
back to what you were saying before.
That's a lot of words.
The oil absorption rate they have a regulation for it now. They've never had a regulation for that.
Okay.
So now they do. And that's a big deal, You might have to throw out your, like, I don't know how much.
Right. Congress.
Let's find out. How much does a professional bowling ball cost?
Congress, 100 to 200, I think.
Professional bowling ball store. Let's see.
That's a map. Okay.
All right, bowlingball.com. Let's go with it.
Oh,
Let's
man,
ride
that's
this.
an old ass
site.
Look at that.
Let's do it.
Oh, I love it. Look at this Web 2. This is like Web 1.5, I would say. All right, Radical. Let's just check out how much a Radical.
Yeah, this website definitely survived the
.com
bubble.
A bowling ball. I would have thought that like the conspiracy bowling ball from Radical would be like $1,000, but it's only like $165. That's actually more reasonable than I expected.
It's a lot less than I expected.
Triumphant in the chat room says $400 to $600. What kind of golden bowling balls are you rolling?
Oh, see, okay, so so I guess that means that Radical is like a more.
No.
How do they afford that Throwbot if they're a budget option?
No,
I don't
understand. That site. Find me a pure gold bowling ball.
Okay, hold on. Let's go to search.
Yeah.
Pure gold bowling ball.
I can do solid gold. I don't know what the best.
Welcome to episode 6 of JBYC, where we Google shit.
Bobby, we're finding out about costly.
This is my life. You don't understand. Like every time you don't see me, this is what I'm doing.
No, it's weird interests. You're right. It's on theme.
My weird interest is weird interest. Okay. They don't have any solid gold bowling balls on this website, Ryan. That's a rabbit hole we'll have to.
Man, no wonder your poops always took so long, because we still haven't
gotten. There's a lot to do in there. Okay, so I'm trying to get to the balance hole part. Okay, so they've eliminated balance holes. This is what I don't understand, though. They've eliminated balance holes, but bowlers may have up to 5 holes for gripping, and all gripping holes. Okay. I understand now. Okay, so a balance hole. You know what a balance hole is, right? It's a hole that you drill like elsewhere on the ball to balance.
Oh my gosh! My stepdad, who did bowling all the time, always had an extra hole in his bowling ball.
That was a balance hole, Bob.
I always wondered. I always thought maybe he like re-drilled the thumb hole or something. Oh man,
it was a balance hole. But you know what? Your stepdad's not drilling those holes anymore. If he's participating in the United States Bowling Congress.
He's a maverick.
Because they've been outlawed. They're banned.
Okay, American.
But now you can
keep going.
Yeah.
XKCD did a what if about bowling balls, and if one was made of solid gold, it would weigh more than average bowl. So you're not going to find a solid gold bowling ball. It
would weigh more than what?
The average
an
bowler.
Average bowler.
Oh wow, that would be cool. And then you could like.
Oh, that would be like extreme bowling.
The Throwbot could bowl with it. The Throwbot could handle it. I have confidence in that.
But then it would destroy
humanity. It would destroy humanity.
It'd hit the bat, go through, and then go in his face.
We all knew the world would burn, but we didn't know it would be at the hands of the Throwbot and his solid gold bowling ball.
No, it would be a future where. It would be a future where all bowling was done by giant jacked robots, and then Hugh Jackman would find an old one and fix it up and then make a movie.
Humanity
about
is like relegated to polishing the bowling balls for our Throwbot overlords.
Yeah,
and Hugh Jackman is like one of the
steel plus
polishers. Basically, it's like what's that Scientology book you loved, Bobby? Battlefield Earth.
Dianetics?
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell. I forgot that I liked that book.
You rat brain.
Oh man. Yeah, I
mean,
was
the
a
book might
rat
have been better
brain.
than the movie.
The movie was horrible.
I mean, the book.
Did we all go
anyway,
see that
so-
movie together?
We did. We did.
We did. Yeah, we saw that in the movie theater.
So I don't know. That's basically what I had to do. Now, so I guess to segue out. So yeah, it's just a big deal. Like if you have all these professional bowling balls that you spend all this money on, and they have balance holes drilled into them, like it's a big deal if they say you can't have balance holes anymore. So
So what's the
it throws
conspiracy
whole
bowling ball?
community into a ruckus.
We're not ending here, EJ.
Okay, hey,
don't
I
try
know,
to
I could
segue
go on
out.
all day,
We still haven't gotten to the money.
Well, so the conspiracy bowling ball, and they don't even. This is the other thing. They don't explain it well at all on their site. I'm actually wondering if this web store doesn't explain it better.
Well, if
The video doesn't even
you
answer
don't
the
already
question.
know what the conspiracy bowling ball
No.
is.
No, they take for granted, like they expect you to have really deep knowledge. Because the first thing the guy says, Ryan, play the very beginning of the video one more time.
Oh, okay. I'm doing something else. Okay.
Just do the audio.
Sorry to bother you with our live stream we're doing.
I did check out. I'm reading about bowling ball.
Again, now
Ryan's got the bug.
the conspiracy. Radicals answer, U.S. no balance hold. The conspiracy.
See?
With its
Okay. All right.
total
You can cut it. The very first thing he says is that the conspiracy is radicals' answer to the USBC no balance hole rule change. But but they never explain how it's the answer. They never explain.
Well, it's not for us. It's for
What?
people that know about bowling balls.
That's what I love about this, Ryan.
Or maybe
Having,
it's just
told me
like
some of the
It's like-
information.
It's like you know what it's like? It's like when you were a kid. Did you ever? Okay, this is like only 90s kids will remember. When you were a kid, sometimes you'd buy like these little walkie-talkie toys, and they would pick up like your neighbor's not cell phone, but like remember we used to have the portable phones.
the cordless phone.
They were like a landline, but they
Yeah.
were cordless. Yeah, right. So I forgot the word cordless. Yeah. So and sometimes your little walkie-talkie toy would pick up your neighbor's cord. Do you have this experience? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh
Anybody
yeah,
else?
and you would sit and listen, and you felt like
You
the
could
most.
just sit and listen to somebody's conversation.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. It's like a voyeuristic thing. You're like
Oh
eavesdropping,
yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You guys
coming
ever
in the
have
middle of
party
this
line?
conversation.
'Cause we
Yeah,
had-
yeah. It's like
Yeah, like
I'm not
party
talking about the
line.
party line, but it's
That was shared
It's-
between multiple houses. That was that on crack.
Yeah, that was
that was
our,
like the 1910s. Only
yeah, that was
1910s
that was
kids will
our
remember the
grandparents'
party
chill
line.
childhood. Yeah.
No, in like the late '80s, there was still one in one of the places I live.
Well, you lived in
Really?
like, Puerto Rico, right?
I
Yeah, you
also
lived in
South
like
Carolina, in Maryland.
diff-
Like
No, yeah, Ryan's probably right. That's kind of a rural thing in the U.S. Until relatively recently. So I mean, there's still places where, like, I have family who live places where you can't use a cell phone at all. You know,
I can't imagine.
but that's a different weird interest for a different weird time.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's like voyeuristic. It's like you're coming
Yeah.
into this
Yeah. Yeah.
situation
so
where there's all these people talking about something really passionately, and you have to kind of like forensically.
But I get what
figure
you
out
mean.
they're
Like,
talking
oh my
about.
god, they don't even. He doesn't even explain because even like the magnet bracelet people try to explain how magnets will make you able to like
I know what you're
throw a spiral football better.
Yeah, but he talks about the bowling ball for 3 minutes, and the thesis statement of the video is that the conspiracy bowling ball is radicals' answer to the USBC no balance hole rule change. And then he talks about it for 3 minutes, and he never explains how or why it answers the USBC no balance hole rule change. He never explains what the USBC no balance hole rule change is.
I know he spends.
just
There's like a
expects
whole
you-
minute. There's like a whole 80 seconds spent on introducing us to the Throwbot's
To the
different
Throwbot.
personalities.
It's really a video about the Throwbot, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's what they're showing off. That's the feature. So I'm gonna look. I just want to see. I'm gonna look up the conspiracy bowling ball here.
well, I'm reading the comments on that video, and it's other people being like, X number X Y Z. Yeah, this makes sense. I'm like, what?
I love this.
Yeah, right. It's
Yeah,
exactly
but I
right.
also I realize though I don't know stuff, so it doesn't really impress me that
This
someone
is-
knows something about a niche thing. Like I get
It's
what
not
you're
like
no,
you're
it's not
impressed
really-
by their knowledge.
Yeah, it's not impressive
not the
that somebody
point.
knows about it.
Oh,
It's
yeah, but like I don't get this thing that you're talking about.
There's a whole
Well,
subsegment
I don't
of the
expect
population
everyone to
in
get
an entire world of expertise and knowledge and subculture that you were just not aware of until, 15 going on 20 minutes ago.
Okay, we can wrap this up soon, but and I don't expect everyone to get it, Ryan. It's like but the best way I can explain it is it's kind of like a mind teaser.
Don't have
No,
it
no,
happen.
I know you're not knocking it. I know you're not knocking it. I know you just don't get it. So the best way I can explain it is it's like a puzzle or like a mystery to solve. So it's like you're coming into this situation cold, and you have to. It's like being a detective or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's the reason why people watch like CSI, right? Because people watch CSI. Like, think about the situation in CSI, and I'm going to tell you the reason people like it, and then I'll tell you why I don't like it. The reason people like something like CSI is because these detectives come into the situation cold. So it's like, oh, we're at a furry convention, and there's all these furries. Oh, we have to try to understand this culture now so we can figure out how this murder happened or whatever, right? But the reason I don't like CSI is because it's not grounded in reality, and they don't make any attempt to try to really understand furries or whatever community they're entering into.
Yeah, they just have the sunglasses guy making
thing to make the story
jokes.
move forward. But this, Ryan, this is real.
Right.
Yeah.
This is real life. And when you try to understand this, you are understanding reality, or at least the computer simulation of reality that we all live in.
Throwbot is going to bring you closer to understanding yourself.
Listen to this. This is the sales text. This is the pitch for the bowling ball on this website. The new Forge 2 solid cover stock finished with 503,000 CR micropad will not stop with its amazing continuation and overall hook. Expect more boards of total hook plus a great deal of entry angle. I didn't understand a single word of that, and I love it.
See, I didn't understand a word of that, and I would have just immediately had it fall out my head, and I'd go read something else because I don't care.
Right.
Well, this is not for you. This is not the weird interest. Weird interests are not the weird interest for you, right?
No,
Right.
You need to find another weird interest.
But what
I just
about
don't-
I think it's like you get it or you don't. I don't know if I
get
can
it. I just
evangelize
don't
this.
Get it. Like I get learning weird stuff like Marble Olympics and stuff like that, but not just being it's getting a technical paper and be like, I don't understand this. I should go watch
Some
more
people do
technical
that.
papers.
Some people do that.
And those
Actually,
people
there
are
are
crazy.
Okay,
Sorry.
for instance, I like to watch one of my weird interests. One of the weird interests I like to follow are people who are really into electronics, and I don't know anything about electronics, and I don't, I can't understand it, right? But I'll go in and I'll watch it, and there's some people who will buy a device from China, like a cheap product from China, and they take it apart, and they're like, well, how does this work? Where did this part come from?
Right.
And they'll figure things out. Like sometimes they'll forensically figure out oh, there must be some factory that manufactured 1 million of this one part, and they were really cheap. So now there's all these products that use this part just because this one product was cheap.
Well, see,
you know
that
what I
makes
mean?
sense to me though, because you're watching something be taken apart, and you don't know what it does, but you know the
no.
rudimentary
See, here's the
piece
thing,
of it.
Ryan. Maybe there are some people like you who like to watch that, but I like to watch them do that. Do you know what I'm saying?
What?
You see what I mean? No. Listen.
Yeah.
No,
I know this is hard.
me.
I know this doesn't make sense. Okay, some people like to watch things.
The video about
because they're
the
interested
breaking apart.
in the primary topic. I like to watch things because I'm interested in the meta game.
What's the meta game of this video? Because it sounds like the meta game's the obvious game.
Of bowling?
No, of the taking something apart and telling you where it came from and stuff like that.
No, it's just seeing the process of how they do it.
Yeah,
seeing
but that's
how they interact with
explicit.
each other.
That's not
seeing
that's
the
what they're
insults they
doing.
hurl at each other. Because that's some of the best stuff is when they get really angry at each other.
I completely agree.
And then you realize that you do it.
I find that interesting.
It's like the human condition. It makes you think more about the things that you get all bent out of shape. Not you, Ryan, but it makes us think about the things that we get bent out of shape about.
It's sort of
does it really matter in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, it's sort of like
there's a philosophy to it.
It's sort of like spectator. It's like a spectator sport in a way. You're sitting and you're watching. It's less about learning what they're doing and more about like how fascinating is it that these people are so into this.
They really care.
Yeah. I can get that. I can. Understand
I finally
that.
found the answer. By the way, I think they didn't. They buried it. They buried the lead. So I think they have a new asymmetrical core shape combined with a new solid cover. So that's how they have answered the challenge of the no balance hold rule change. So they have an asymmetrical core shape.
Brilliant.
There's a disconnect here
Perfect.
I can't bridge.
That's all right. We're gonna do this.
Dang it, Bobby, that's exactly what we don't want.
What about ASMR, Ryan? Are you
I don't care. No.
I don't have
I think that people really like, so some people actually have that reaction, that like the back of their head tingling kind of thing that's supposed to be.
So
But I
that's
think
what
a lot of people like listening to girls talk in low voices.
Right. So this is actually kind of a tightrope to walk if you talk.
I think Bobby's about to come after you, Ryan, based on the show notes.
No. That was more of a lead in, right? Which is that I do find it sometimes when people just refer to ASMR as anything that they can listen to that relaxes them. When like Ryan just said, ASMR is an actual like neurological phenomenon called autonomous. I had a sensory meridian response. That's what it is. Yeah. Autonomous sensory meridian response, where it's actually something is actually in the brain happening that's activating a sort of pathway, and it's rare. So
incredibly rare.
So whatever though. Like I was just in the show notes, I put that in there as sort of like a I'm gonna shake my fist at something and get us started to talk about something, but I'm gonna get right more to the point, which is I think that things like ASMR and even this bowling ball thing we've been talking about, or like I put in the notes also mukbang. You guys know what mukbang is?
Mukbang?
Yes, but
is it mukbang?
And muck to eat and bang room. Yes, I believe I'm familiar with mukbang.
It's well, tell everybody real briefly, since we just gave you 25 minutes of the show, what mukbang is. I'm pretending to be salty about that.
Mukbang is just when people eat food, and it came from Korea, and they eat food on YouTube, and people watch it. It's like the live stream. It's like what we're doing right now, except we would all be eating food.
Right.
We'd be in a circle, like just chowing down. Right.
And people will tune in to watch them eat things, right? There's some mukbang right there.
I just muck SMR'd everyone.
But for the podcast listeners, it will sound like you're taking a hit on a mukbang, but it was actually some coffee that you were slurping.
Wow. Bravo.
Anyway, the point that I wanted to make is what I really find fascinating is how the internet has brought us here, right? Like these types of things, aside from the obvious reason why we wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for the internet because of streaming, but like even diving into things like the no balance whole rule world of bowling, like
Give up on that one.
like the internet, it makes it possible for us to first of all for these really tiny esoteric communities to form, and then for people to really rally behind these really fine-grained topics, and then also for us to find out about them, and then in something like ASMR, for example, for an entire giant exploding community to build around that.
Virtually overnight.
Yeah.
By the way. Like, I never heard of it, and then it was all I heard about.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about, like, I guess it was faster than most things, but then, like, the internet's on hyperspeed nowadays for, like, the past 6-7 years, so...
Well, isn't that?
I want to slot this in from the chat, because Key to the Fields made an interesting observation that I think what we're talking about is a weird form of anthropology. It's like Key to the Fields said weird anthropology. It's just like an interest in how humans behave, you know? And the internet gives us like a way to watch that happen in a really kind of interesting way.
That just leads me to a totally different question, and I'm going to run with it, which is, what do you think anthropology is gonna be like in like 200 or 300 years when people are looking back? Like there's no clay pots to dig up. There's no like.
Well, that'd be archaeology.
The's still clay pots.
But anthropologists.
I know archaeology is a branch of anthropology. I know. I took an archaeology college.
but you get
Don't
what I'm saying. Like,
mansplain archaeology to me. I was trying to mansplain it to you.
you get well.
Don't reverse this.
We'll fight fire
mansplain
with
session.
fire. Splain off.
Oh God, that's like the worst competition. The mansplain tournament.
Yeah, but you know, what?
weird anthropology makes sense. Like,
What will archaeology be like? Well, here's the question I have: like, are there already digital archaeologists? There must be, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it feels like that's something somebody has to have done a master's.
we did it.
in.
What 3 episodes with Space Jam?
Oh, good
Oh yeah,
point.
that was digital archaeology. That's correct. Something. Okay, here's the thing. I've talked to a few librarians in my time, and something that librarians are very concerned about is the fact that digital data is very difficult to preserve. And that's why librarians are actually like really, speaking of weird interests and things people get really passionate about, they're very passionate about like microfilm and microfiche and physical copies of things.
Microfiche?
Because
What's a microfiche?
Microfiche is like a form of film. It's like really tiny. Like you could photograph a newspaper and make it really, really small. So you can have a huge archive of newspapers or magazines or whatever.
You've seen it in movies when they're using the big wheels to like.
Yeah, you know how you can.
Find
it's like an Etch-a-Sketch, but it moves around, and you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
And
I had to do a project
flip-flop.
in an English class one time where I had to go look at old Playboys in the
Playboy.
library.
I remember that.
And
Yeah, I
it was,
remember that.
oh my God, I sweat the whole time. Like,
Because you didn't want people to see you looking at the
yeah,
Playboy.
because I'm
really
looking
warm
at
in the library.
Playboys from like the 60s and 70s in a
I
library.
remember that because you invited me. You were like, "Hey, you want to go look at some Playboys in the
I know.
library?"
Well, I thought like
No.
I need to have somebody with me so it looks. Somehow I thought like two like sweaty teenagers in a library staring at like 60s and 70s Bush in the. is gonna
I'm just reading it for the articles.
look. I've got my friend here. It's not creepy.
Dad, don't say Bush ever again, please.
Jesus, you're a father, Bobby.
Right. I
So
anyway.
anyway,
I still
moving
use
right
microfilm in my work.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Well, so that would make a librarian happy to hear, apparently, because they the way it was explained to me is like you could theoretically, if all technology is destroyed, you could get out a magnifying glass and read a microfilm or microfiche.
Yeah.
But like we've already lost, for instance, like census data and like lots of data. I mean, like probably tons of very valuable data has just been destroyed because either the formats change or the media changes or decays.
Yeah, like, we
Think about all
lost
your
so
old
much
CDs you
Doctor
burned.
Who because of a fire, and now we don't have a bunch of the old.
Well, you're right. That is physical archives can be destroyed. That is true. That is a good counter argument. But it's more. Like, the point is that
talk about Doctor Who.
Oh, that's always a good thing to do. But digital data is much more. The chances of digital data, or in the scale of time that like archaeologists are concerned with, and archivists, digital data is incredibly volatile and very likely to become inaccessible, and that deeply concerns archivists.
With solid state drives now, like that thing's never gonna die as long as you can power it on.
But the file format might very well change.
That's the thing. Like
Or
you still have an
or the
archaic
interface might
machine,
change.
but that's.
I have a lot of old. I mean, I have all these old mini DV tapes, right, from
Yeah.
like all the stuff we shot in college and everything. And the real problem, I still have the camera to shoot on, but the real problem is computers these days don't have like FireWire, and I don't know where to get a FireWire. Like, and it's annoying now, but in 20 years it might be like insurmountable for an average person to deal with.
But like microfilm is already insurmountable. Person, those machines are.
You don't need the machine though. That's the point. You could get a magnifying glass.
No one's gonna see. Like, it's not really obvious what it is, and then if you actually want to look at it, it's endless reams for nothing. Like,
Well, some archivists. That's what a lot of archivists do. Right?
I know. I basically archive also. That's what I do, kind of also, and we reprint. But like, at the end of the day, without having the conveyance to look at it, it's the same problem. If you don't have the machine,
all you really need, though, I'm just telling you what I've been told. I don't know, but all you really need is a magnifying device versus a digital thing where you would need like a machine and you would need the software to run on the machine and you would probably need an interface to connect the thing to the machine. It's like much more likely to be lost.
Yeah,
and it has there's like a whole year of census, or I could look that up, but there's a whole year of census that was just like lost because they don't have that. And also, you know, like this was an issue for me when I was running my video production thing, where we would get often like 3/4 inch videotape or audio tape or whatever. And there was only one place in the entire state of South Carolina that had the machine to run it, and that was the PBS station. They still had a 3/4 inch machine, but they like literally for them to repair that machine there was like a certain part of it that wears down, and like no amount of maintenance will stop it from wearing down. It will eventually wear down, and they know that like when that part wears down, for them to get it repaired, they'd have to get somebody to hand make the parts to do it, and it would cost like $40,000. And they like had an engineer analyze. They knew that they had like, I don't know, like 37 hours of play left on that machine before it would just be like irrecoverably destroyed. So if you ever wanted to get something off of micro 3/4 inch tape, you'd have to apply, and they would like have a review panel like review it to make sure that it's like a worthy project to use the very like finite amount of time left that's on this machine. I think that was kind of interesting. And that's the kind of thing you don't have a problem with a magnifying. You know, like you could pull out a magnifying glass and look at microfilm in anytime you want.
Yeah, my only
pretty
point there
stable.
is that when you see it, you don't know what it is, and it's very obtuse to deal with.
Yeah, oh, I get what you're saying. Like you're saying, it's less convenient to
It's
use.
insanely inconvenient.
Right.
Of course. Yeah. Well, I think archivists just they think it's more important for something to be stable and
I think
have longevity.
People aren't going to have
than to be,
time
like,
to do that and care when this apocalyptic scenario occurs. It's going to be man eat man. And
okay, but Bob, it's like the man eat man, but then they rebuild civilization, and then finally they're like
all
back
the
to where we are
microfilms
now.
have been used to fuel the fires that burned the bodies of your enemies.
I burn very well.
Well, okay, I have answers to both of those. Ryan,
Well,
your problem is solved, Ryan, because archivists do their jobs and they archive things well and they have a good index. Okay,
Well, my whole thing.
Your problem is solved, Bob, by locking all of our archives away in a vault that is inaccessible with primitive tools.
And my point is that without using and looking at these things, I don't think they have any value.
But how do we get if we can't get into
Well,
it
you
with
can make
primitive
it good.
tools?
I mean, people archived things before we had digital stuff, and they did a good job at it, which
Yeah,
is another
I
interesting kind of topic. That might even be. I could talk about that for a long time. The way people
We're
used to.
not looking at the information
data.
and what, like, if no one's using it, then it's just there. Then the value to me diminished.
But people can organize the data in a way that you can find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So
You know
this
what I'm
is
saying?
this is sort of an interesting. I hear people. So DNA data storage is like a research area, right? And the idea is that storing data in DNA is the information density is really high, so you can store lots of information, and then, you know, the density of storage for that information would be really high. So you'd be able to store more in a smaller space. But I get really annoyed when people think that like writing, they hear stories like we can write information to DNA. They think like you'll be able to write Harry Potter into my blood or something like that. Like
That's
you're missing the
happened in
point.
many Star Trek episodes.
Yeah, but that's not not how it works. But that's just
Star Trek's not real science.
well, it is. It is real science. It's just being misinterpreted by Gene Roddenberry.
Actually, he died before some of the worst misinterpretations.
Apparently, he was really he was crazy. He had like a vice grip on all those writers. But
Well, I'm glad.
That DNA thing was storing it in the extra trash at the end of the DNA strand, right?
well, so sort of, yeah. That's one place that they tried it. But the whole point is not so much that you're actually storing it in real DNA. You're just using the structure of DNA to encode data.
Telomeres?
Telomeres.
Whiskers Scuttlebum says that storing in DNA is really dumb. It mutates super easy.
Yeah, so the technology is definitely not mature, and it's all just research right now. Like nobody's going to market with your DNA flash drive.
Are there advantages to storing data in DNA?
Well, it's like, the information
I can
density.
Think of many disadvantages.
If it didn't mutate, if they could make it stable and long term, you can store a lot more information in a much smaller amount of space. So it's exactly for this type of thing that we're talking about. That's what made me think of it, is all this talk about archiving data. So,
or if you could control the mutation, that might be the reason. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then
all you sci-fi writers out there.
Then you could make fish tomatoes, right? Fish tomatoes.
Wow, it's a fish and it's a tomato.
Fish tomatoes.
Just throw that right in a stew pot. You got a stew.
You've never heard that anti-GMO people talking about fish tomatoes? Anyway, again, we're hitting on every show topic we might do for the next. Is that
supposed to be an argument
years?
Against GMOs? Because that sounds awesome. Just add a little garlic to that DNA, and I got myself a meal.
Yeah, I know. Fish tomatoes. I'm like halfway to a pasta dish.
Yeah, garlic fish tomatoes. I'm on board. Let's modify the genes. Let's do this.
Let's go catch a garlic salmon.
This is a sidetrack, but I feel the same way about like professional sports with like steroids and stuff. Sometimes it's like just jack them up. I want the spectacle.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm just joking, but it would
like Lance Armstrong.
It's like a.
Yeah, I want to see Jack. I want to see Jack dude speed cycling across the USA.
No, actually, that's really like that one guy died because like he'd have to wake up in the middle of the night to ride on a stationary bicycle because his heart rate would slow down so much.
Oh my gosh, how horrible!
What? It sounds.
He was like,
I believe it. I believe it.
Much.
Like.
He'd have to wake up in the middle of the night because his heart rate would drop, and he'd have to get on a stationary bicycle, and he, obviously died. So it's actually really terrible.
So those of you listening right now, what you're learning right now is that literally every conversation that the three of us ever have is just a weird interests episode of JBYC.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And Ryan pretends he doesn't get it. Come on.
No, I was not even saying that. We just couldn't keep on talking about it forever.
This is the most genuine episode we've ever recorded.
Yeah, that is very much something I've said before, isn't it, American? Where I get exasperated with you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Never mind. You're just being true to yourself.
Keeping it
to
real.
thine own self, be Ryan.
I just gave up.
If anyone's interested, really quick, it was the 1960 census that got lost, and you can find out more at the Atlas of Digital Damages.info, which is a catalog of lost data.
Here's what I think we should do now.
And now for something completely different.
Before we run out of any kind of time, I think we ought to.
How many kinds of time are there?
Well, there's a lot of different times, but the fact is, I don't want to run out of any of them.
Time cube.
Hey, you remember that time that you guys watched Hypercube without me, and I got really mad?
I wasn't there
either.
I think Grant watched it without all of us, Bob. I think you just warped that entire.
You guys all watched Tremors without me, and I was really mad about that.
We also.
But that's because I was about to work on a movie with Kevin Bacon.
We also watched all of Highway to Heaven without you.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
You think so because you haven't seen it.
It was a weekly event. It was what me and Grant and EJ did right after our Senior Citizens Society meetings.
And old Josh.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember JW?
Yep. All right. We got an email here. Dear JBYC panel, I have a friend who is madly in love with somebody I strongly believe is catfishing them. Honestly, it's grating on my nerves that they won't listen to what I have to say when I bring the catfishing up. I just don't want them to be hurt, but the truth will crush them. I'm sure. Stonewalled in Jacksonville. What does
a little Stonewall Jackson reference for Civil War aficionados out there?
What flavor of catfish is it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Tomato.
Yeah, it's definitely
the only flavor of fish you know.
It's
Come
a
on.
fish.
Tomato fish.
It's a fish mado. It's a catfish mado.
So catfishing is when you pretend to be someone else.
Situation.
Right? Huh?
Guys,
I'm gonna do it again. This certainly sounds like a fishy situation.
Right. So Ryan, let everybody know what.
Yeah.
Remind me what catfishing
Still
is.
didn't land.
Catfishing is like pretending to be someone else, and I think the end goal is either taking advantage of them some way or like being the lulz.
Yeah.
So it's either trolling them or sometimes it's for financial gain or something.
Yeah. But it's it's mainly in like dating sites now, like God, Plenty of Fish, and other sites like that, or apps like that, where you use those and you only ever talk through the inbuilt IM thing, and you can call, I guess, but you don't when you're doing this.
Ryan just explained online dating like a 90 man.
You walked right past my Plenty of Fish joke. That's why I lost it.
I got it. No, I got it.
So
Plenty of Fish joke just made me realize how old I am. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
It sounds like our emailer has attempted to try to help their friend, at least, right?
Well, I think realistically, you call them and then you talk to them, and if it's weird, then you kind of know what's going on pretty quickly.
I don't know that there's much more you can do, though.
I've called people that I only ever knew on the internet, and it's always weird.
Whatever.
That's
like
true.
they know things that you've talked about, though. Like unless they were prepped by the person that I don't know. Like I'm used to when this happens, it's a male impersonating a female.
That's
so
that's the stereotypical scenario, right? So
yeah.
Well, so I see what you're saying. You're saying that you imagine what would happen is you would call the person, and in order to cover themselves, they'd have to get their like
girlfriend or sister or something.
Yeah, their female friend to pretend to be the person they're pretending to be, and then they wouldn't know the details of the many, many conversations that they've had.
Then you start saying,
quiz. Here's the thing. Everything that we're talking about right now is like information we don't have.
Right. That's a fair point.
We don't know like the genders of the people or anything.
That's a very fair point.
We don't know. So like
generally speaking, though,
we have to make this call based on the information we have.
Yeah, this person has tried to.
I'm gonna make it up.
Convince their friend that they're being catfished because they're sure that they're being catfished. So let's operate under the assumption that it's not an assumption. That's all we know.
And I feel like probably their friend is not interested in investigating or anything. You know what I'm saying? Or they have investigated and they feel confident that it's checked out. To me, it seems like Stonewalled in Jacksonville needs to be like a stone wall and just watch and see what happens. Because if you're correct, Sij, it seems like there's really not much more you can do about it except just be a supportive friend no matter what happens.
That's the key, right? So if we're going to go the definitely down the serious route of helping this person, then right now your friend is flying high on a hot air balloon of love. And they like, there's no, if you've ever felt that feeling before, there's nothing, you don't want it to be wrong. There's not a lot that your friend's going to be able to say. They're going to come up with all kinds of excuses why you're being either the bad guy or something like that, trying to convince them of other things. And there's numerous reasons that they might come up with. You've done the right thing so far. You've told them what you think. You've warned them.
We don't know what they've said.
Yeah. Well, you've given.
Yeah,
they might have not done the right thing so far.
It says they won't listen. They won't listen. So we know.
So I'm gonna assume you're right. I'm gonna assume that they've done all that they can do.
Deets. Fine, if we're gonna play this game, yeah.
Right. So all you can really do is be there for when the hot air balloon comes crashing down and try to catch them and be a supportive and definitely search for the right moment to weasel in that I told you so.
Yeah, but it's got to be the right. Not. It's like all about timing. Can't be too early, and you can't wait too long.
Right.
But you got to plan it out well enough that when you do it, confetti shoots out and a band starts playing behind you.
Yeah.
Get your "I told you so" cannon.
Preferably an oompa band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that's right.
But yeah, there's not much you can do. It's like any bad relation, like any relationship, like your friend's significant other. You know, even if it's not catfishing, but let's just say your friend's dating somebody and you don't like that person. You know, like you can't. It's not. There's only so much you can do. You can speak your mind. You can say what you have to say, and then make their own decision and live their life. And then if you still value that person, you have to just be there whenever it all comes crashing down, right? I mean, I guess there are some outliers where if it's like truly, I guess you could consider a catfish to be like a form of abuse. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it does justify more, but without having more information about the degree of severity, and assuming it's just a garden variety catfishing situation, I think you just have to be as a stone wall and observe and be ready to swoop in with
your garden, American. Is that a catfish?
It's a tomato fish.
Catfish.
Why are you growing those?
Yeah.
Well, I modified the DNA of a catfish and a tomato, and I bred them together. What are we doing right now? Are we doing a routine? Is this
No,
a
we're
bit?
not anymore.
Is this a bit? Are we going with it?
I think if you haven't actually said like what catfishing is and laid it out, then do that. And also say, hey,
I agree.
so if you're gonna be supportive, then you say, okay, well, when you gonna talk to them?
Yeah. Or due diligence.
That's another fair point.
But some people, well, okay, I don't want it, but some people just and they don't want to talk to people and stuff.
I mean, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
they'll
Like, I
say
don't
no
know.
if they-
I don't want to be too presumptive.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
I don't
fair.
know what this person said.
That's fair. That's also an important point to make. If everyone in this scenario is happy, then
Or
what's
comfortable, at least.
or comfortable, yeah. Then what's the problem? Obviously, you're worried about something, so that might be an issue in and of itself, right? Like maybe if that's what something that you also need to explore is why is it that this bothers you so much? And
I have
maybe
a solution.
yeah, and maybe
What's
it
the
is
solution?
really just that you're afraid of your friend's well-being and safety or something like that.
Buy a pocket watch. Hypnotize yourself to not remember this.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. Just burn
Yeah, use a mirror.
Start a new life.
And once it's going, like play a
Manchurian
recorder of your
Candidate
voice,
yourself.
Play a recorder of your voice.
so that you can't talk to yourself when you're knocked out from the hypnotism.
Is this the plot to the movie Memento?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
Tattoo all over your body, catfish,
All over.
and
That story
tomatoes.
goes
Hypnotize yourself
backwards.
every
I can't remember
morning.
why.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a movie called Catfish, right? What are we doing?
I don't know. Let's do
Talking about
this.
catfish. Why don't you like doing this? Why don't you like talking to us anymore, American?
All right.
No, I'm
so
just trying to figure out what's happening.
I gave a real solution.
That music is signifies we're here at the end of the show. I don't even know how long this episode is anymore. There's been so many crazy problems, and we went down so many meandering
Roller
roads.
coaster.
We had a whole technical issue, but we made it to the end, and you guys made it with us, and that's all that we care about. It's the journey, not the destination, that's important. Unless that destination is Five Guys, because I love that place. We are going to read more emails on the next show, and if you want to send us emails, you can send them to us at jbycshow@gmail.com. We love reading your emails. We had some questions in the chat room, and I think that we are going to answer some of them in the after party. So, if you're listening to the podcast, maybe consider coming to our live show on YouTube, youtube.com/JBYC show. Go there, subscribe. That way you'll get notified. Click the little bell icon thing. You'll get notified about when our videos go up, but also when we go live, you'll get notified of that as well. You can also find out about those from the announcements on our Twitter at JBYC show, or you can join our Discord. Go to our website, jbyc.net, and click on the Discord link to get invited to the Discord if you're not already in there, because in there we do lots of cool things like get to vote on the topic of the next show. So this show's theme was weird interests, and the next theme is going to be
You decide.
oh
Wrong.
wait, we did it wrong again. We're gonna get this right one time. Actually, we already know what the next theme's gonna be.
Do we? Then
That's
say
why
it.
I was waiting because I was.
Yeah, I know.
wrong.
You had it. I'm the worst host. Next week, there's already been decided by the
As long as
community
you
a
know
theme, and it's going to be beaches. Ryan, if you thought that weird interest was hard, now our theme next week is beaches.
I'm gonna talk about that movie, Beaches.
Oh, you stole mine. All right, we're gonna get lots of share up on in this next video, this next episode. Yes, beaches. So send us your ideas for stories over on our Discord and the channel for suggestion box. You can send us story ideas, prompts, anything you want us to talk about having to do with beaches. But like I said, join all those different places because I'm gonna pop a poll up for you guys to decide what the episode after that the theme is gonna be.
Papa Polyp sounds like a great character for like a colon doctor.
Papa Polyp. He's like a
mascot.
but he's like a funky kind of soul doctor.
Or he's like a old like immigrant Russian guy with like a like the hat,
like
Bible
dancing
goes
on a
Bible.
rooftop playing a
And he's got like a
violin.
fiddle. I'm Papa Poet. I am
Yeah.
here to talk to you about
Yeah, exactly.
getting a colonoscopy.
Once I was a med student, la 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 la
About
la la
tomato
la,
fish.
all day long, popping up the polyps.
Oh my God.
Guys, come on back next time
Subscribe.
if you can. if you like what we're doing here, then feel free to subscribe. We're gonna be back. I don't think there's anything else to say.
Bye.
So we will see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out, and we love you. It's the most awkward exit of our shows yet.
Hello, I'm Papa Poet.
Papa Poet. I am tomato.
Papa Poet. Tomato fish.